Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. Welcome, everybody. We're back at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Yes, so grateful to be here with you all. I've got an amazing guest today, Lynn Grace, and she's just beaming with incredible energy. She's got incredible things to share, especially for the highly sensitive crowd. So I'm just grateful to have her here. We're going to dive in 1 second. Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free Meditate, Make Money meditation today. All right, Lynn Grace, I am just so grateful you're here. You know, I've seen your name for years, and I was always like, I think in the back of my mind, type of thing, I need to meet her. And we just, met just the other day, it feels like. It's just really, real recent. And it honestly feels like yesterday. I know it's more than one day, but it feels like just like yesterday. So I'm so grateful to have you here today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited. It's always nice to have a discussion with a fellow journey person, somebody, a soul traveler. And so, it's always awesome and always expansive. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. You guys, you're just going to love everything she has to share. I'm just sure of it. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Lynn Grace is dedicated to her calling of showing people worldwide how to dissolve their energy blocks in your personal and professional life and activate your core authentic power through her master teachings and energy activations and transmissions. Today, Lynn is a transformational leader, international speaker, energy worker, empath, and intuitive. She is also a 35-year marketing and business growth expert. She knows what she's doing, right? Author of the book Outrageous Business Growth and a contributing author to 5 other business and personal development books. She has been quoted and interviewed in over 300 publications, podcasts, and radio programs. Debbie's online transformation programs, live events, and speaking engagements have impacted hundreds of thousands of people worldwide. And I'm just so grateful. We were on this topic. We were talking the other day about the highly sensitives, and which of course, I'm one of those too. Again, you do the tests, they're probably I'm only borderline, compared to some people, but I feel I'm very highly sensitive. So I feel like it's a very interesting thing. Like people say, I'm empath, I'm highly sensitive, and like they give it different names. So how do you actually, I want to get to know all about you, but one of the questions I have, and maybe I can ask you, like, how did you get to know you're a highly sensitive person? How can someone know they're a highly sensitive person?
Well, I have no idea. I mean, I think that people that are highly sensitive, first of all, have known since they were a kid that they're a little different, that they can sense things around them. And the classic sign is if you were told growing up, you're too sensitive. Like if you ever had that coming your way, that's a classic sign that you're too sensitive, right? So there's that. But I'm going to give you, there's all sorts of scientific studies, but the studies aren't that old. I'm a lot older than the studies. So, it's only about 20 some years that most of this information has really come to light. With Elaine Aron, writing all her books on highly sensitive person. And I feel like in practical terms, what it really means is that a person who's not highly sensitive is born with sort of a shock absorber system internally as they experience their senses, hearing, sight, taste, touch, smell. And somebody that's highly sensitive is born literally with different wiring in their brain, and they don't have a shock absorber system. And it affects, there's a spectrum. It's not like, well, you're only sensitive to light, or you're only sensitive to hearing. I mean, people are sensitive to smells, and then other people are sensitive to noise. So there's a spectrum, but wherever you're on the spectrum, it means that you weren't born with a shock absorber system like other people were born with. And that's okay, because as much as my sensitivity is more around hearing, so like if a motorcycle goes by, it feels like somebody just took a bat to my body. And to somebody else, it's just a motorcycle. It's like they don't even pay attention, right? So the spectrums are different. But on the other hand, I find that highly sensitive people, for every challenge, there's always a gift. It's like two sides of the hand. So being highly sensitive can have its challenges if you don't know how to use the right tools. If you know how to use the right tools, it's really not a big deal at all. If you have the right tools in place to use on a daily basis, the gifts of being highly sensitive are amazing. Highly sensitive people tend to be far more intuitive. And in my experience, since I've worked with thousands and thousands and thousands of highly sensitive people, in my experience, this is just a personal belief. There's no scientific data. It's just my own data based on all the people I've worked with, is that because you're so in tune to your senses, being highly sensitive, you're more aware of your surroundings. And for some perspective, that's a protection. As a child, that's almost a protection. If you want to protect yourself from something that could hurt you physically or emotionally. And so you almost have a sharpened intuition and like sort of just aware of your surroundings. So as you get older, that's actually quite a gift. It's quite a gift to be able to have a greater sense of what's happening around you and be more intuitive about people as they show up. So it runs a spectrum, but that's sort of my practical terminology for being highly sensitive.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, I just feel like sometimes I kind of space out, like there's moments, even on these interviews, that there could be a moment. Usually everybody says I'm a great listener, but there are moments when all of a sudden I mean, I guess it happens to everybody, but I drift out. But it's just because sometimes it's like other people, something's running in my head, but like other times it's just, I'm just connected to so much energy, especially when I'm around other people, right? I'm connected with so much energy that it's just kind of like everybody's paying attention to what's being said. I'm paying attention to what I'm feeling, like I'm
Right,
feeling all
right.
this energy and like what's going on, like something deeper is coming in. And as a kid, especially, you have no clue why you're shy, usually considered shy a lot of times. And like you're just to yourself and nobody understands that. You don't understand it either. You're like, oh, I don't know why I'm shy or why I'm so quiet. And that's how it was
Yeah.
for me. And so I mean, I was always considered, shy is usually the word. And then, I'm sensitive, and I always felt different because as a guy, usually you're not this like sensitive, emotional sort of person. Most young boys aren't like that. They don't come across that way, at least. So it's definitely a different journey for me. I've always attracted women into my life, like always, like, I mean, guy friends too, but like, lots of women friends and whatnot, because I just feel more connected because I can actually relate on an emotional, energetic level with women, where a lot of women anyway. And whereas with men, it's like we're in a format, right? So it's been an interesting journey for me as a highly sensitive. I could go on and on about it, but that's kind of how I started understanding about it and start showing up. How about for yourself? Because you have a fascinating journey. You come across anyway as some. I mean, maybe did you always know you were sort of that person? There's people said you're too sensitive, or was it not the case, earlier in your life? I'm curious how it unfolded for you, like coming away.
Well, being sensitive unfolded like I did. It was from a very young age, I could just sort of tell when somebody wasn't safe around me, and then it would make me emotional. And that safe, quote unquote, person might have been somebody that's a family friend and was not showing any outward exhibit of being unsafe. You know what I'm saying? Or there were people around me. And now as an adult, I look back at that and go, oh, now I know I was reacting to that person, not because nothing bad happened to me as a kid, fortunately, but when there was too much energy, when there was too much emotion, there was a lot of emotional volatility in my house growing up. And that really upset me because I was reacting to the emotional volatility because as an empath as a kid, and I still am. And so I would process that, and the way I process that is through tears, and so now honestly, I am so grateful of all the amount of research that's come out about being highly sensitive, just because it's finally like, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. I grew up thinking that I was super different and that was wrong, like being sensitive, that there was something wrong with me and that wasn't good. So if I had $1 for every time somebody told me to toughen up or let it go, like you're too sensitive, let it go, I would have been a millionaire before I graduated 8th grade. So so I mean, that was my relationship to being highly sensitive. And then I think as I took my career took off very early on in my marketing profession, right out of college, and I advanced really fast in my career at a fairly young age. And so I feel like for me as a woman, by moving more into my masculine energy, it was a form of protection. And actually, it's sort of, I don't want to say it definitely didn't stop my sensitivity, but it sort of numbed it. It protected it to some extent. So, and then as a woman, when you are that way, and I work with a lot of women that are left brain analyticals, which I was, and who are also highly sensitive, which I am, and they are. And the biggest challenge is as you get older, if you keep moving into your masculine energy, it starts to deplete you more and more and more. And anybody that's a woman entrepreneur, it will take you down. You'll hit frequent burnout. And that is not the way to protect yourself. Moving into your masculine energy, you need it to get things done, but you don't need it as a protection. You don't need to be living in that space to protect yourself from the world. And so that was really my introduction. I had a pretty much of a hate relationship with it, quite honestly, growing up, because it just always made me different. Now it's a 180-degree difference. I have a complete madly in love with my sensitive nature and completely grateful to the universe for for choosing me to have this gift, because I've transformed, or I've facilitated the transformation of thousands and thousands and thousands of lives over almost 3 decades of time. And I wouldn't take that way. No way. I would not trade that for anything. So it was an evolution. Let me just say that, Daniel. It was an evolution.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love that you've experienced all those things you've experienced. And I love that with the left brain analytical and everything. And that's a real gift. That's not something that in the work that I do that, I work, I mean, I do run into it a lot these days, but, there's a lot of women that are like very empathic, but aren't so, left brain, they're more right brain, I would say, as far as, they're more, I don't know, intuitive and creative, or I don't know, whatever you associate right brain with. Okay. All right. So, but anyway, so that's a great gift, because you are able to, when you're in your mastery with your being highly sensitive, I would imagine then it helps you to be grounded, maybe more, and maybe helps you to, figure some stuff out, while you at the same time could use your highly sensitive gifts of being able to read energy and track energy and all that stuff that you do to help other people. And I know you worked with so many people, and I always talk about, I'm going to kind of go to another subject sort of and then weave it back into this, is I see so many people that we're all told to grow our businesses and, blow it up, and we're supposed to reach so many people. I even talk about that to a certain degree here too. But not everybody is necessarily, at this soul level is probably even interested in that. You know what I mean? Like that's the biggest thing for them, right? Like not everybody is like, hey, every single person should be, have a crowd of 1 billion people that they're serving, right? It's just insanity. It's not, I don't think it's true. Like, number one, I think for highly sensitive people, and I was saying it's anything could be true, but like for a lot of highly sensitive people, maybe it's more intimate, maybe it's deeper, maybe it's smaller groups, like it's not always has to be, and it's not always the 100-hour work week either, right? So even this 40-hour work week, like sometimes we need to find our own nourishment. It makes me think about like stories I've heard of, shamans of the past and stuff, and that, they're probably pretty busy, but they like, hey, chill out, we revere you, we'll give you what you need, just do your thing, and I feel like a lot of times that's how some of us highly sensitive people are meant to be. It's like, hey, chill out, you got incredible gifts. In a business sense, like highly value what you do and make sure that you're really claiming that value because you want to, because you got a very precious gift that comes along with that. And then we're able to be in the right energy frequency, to be able to utilize our gifts in a way that doesn't burn us out. And we're able to grow have the outrageous, successful businesses, right? So I shared a lot there, but
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
you tracking so many people, working with so many highly sensitives, I want to get your kind of your take of what you've seen for highly sensitives and wanted to.
Well, let me just say, first of all, that burning out has nothing to do with being highly sensitive.
Okay.
Like it's not because you're highly sensitive that you burn out. Burnout usually happens more for a left brain analytical. They burn out because they work so hard. And if you're highly sensitive, you are taking in a lot of additional energy around you besides normal energy that somebody that's not highly sensitive takes in. And that leads to you just literally burning out. So that it doesn't mean that they're not go hand in hand just because you're highly sensitive. And I also believe that everybody has their own soul path. So I also, I do believe, since, if we're going to go world according to Debbie Lynn Grace, I believe that you're chosen for a reason to be highly sensitive, 15 to 20% of the population. And people that are highly sensitive have a stronger, they are more connected, in my experience, to that urge to help, okay, to serve. And that might mean serving just your family. Going back to what you said, Daniel, it might not mean at all to be doing what I do. But my calling was clearly to get out and reach a huge amount of people. And by the way, I work way less hours. I mean, I work a fraction of the hours that I used to work 20 years ago, and I make a lot more money and I'm a lot more effective. So I don't subscribe to the working 100 hours a week. I would never tell a client to do that. I show my clients how to, actually work a lot less and be a lot more effective, especially as they manage their sensitive nature. And that has a lot to do with your level of receiving and your level of flow. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into that makes it easier. So going back to what you said about if you're more in tune to what your service is, that service might be to animals, you know what I mean? Your service might be to the earth. Your service might be to be a doctor and be in medicine. Your service might be to do something like you and I do, which is get out there and talk to the masses or talk to a specific audience. So yeah, I don't think there's a correlation there, but I do think there's a correlation to people that are highly sensitive are a little bit more in tuned earlier on, that they just want to help. And I think that boils down to, from my experiences, because as an empath, you can feel other people's pain, and highly sensitives don't like seeing anybody in pain, because they literally are feeling somebody else's pain. They don't like to see somebody else hurt. They don't like to see an animal hurt. They don't like to see the earth hurt. And so I think what happens is that creates a little bit more urgency to like, well, I got to do something about this. And because everybody's wired differently on the spectrum of being highly sensitive, some people might be more sensitive to actually feeling plants, feeling trees. I'm not one of those people, but I'm very sensitive to feeling people's pain. So, they're drawn, people are wired differently, and they're drawn to different things that they find a place for themselves and where they serve. And so I 100% agree with you. It's not always to, reach 1 million people. That's not, in fact, that's probably less than more, less people I run into that have that calling to reach, a lot more people. More people have more of a calling to a mission, a mission that might be local or it might be global.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Everybody, yeah. And I just wanted to, because that's I think could be very liberating for people to hear that, people I've got, I've got like me and you and many of listeners too. Like we get a lot of readings from different people, and like it's reassuring to us to hear. Like I remember like one when my clients came to me, she said, I want to grow my business. I'm tired of this. We get working, and and this happens all the time, right? It's like by the time I got done, she's like, you know what? Yeah, right. You know what? The truth is I am happy with my life, and you've helped me understand that. And I'm not really am looking to grow my business. So like, I mean, it's not
Yeah.
always true. I mean, it's
Yes.
like she's doing incredible work, within her relationship with her partner and her child and everything. It's not true for everybody that, but you might think it's true for you because it's kind of a bug we all get. Like maybe I'm supposed to be growing, and maybe you are, maybe it is true, it's just, but to be open to, hey, maybe it isn't true. Maybe something else is true. Maybe things want to go in another direction than you realize. And I love what you share about the sensitivity on different levels. Like there's so many things that go into that, I feel. And yeah, I can be very, very highly sensitive to how someone else is feeling and then totally blank out on other things. Like I'm not worried about that. I'm not focused on that. I'm not as connected to that, at least. Whereas other things, I am, our whole family is pretty sensitive, here. And so I
Yeah.
remember when we got to this house, they were cutting down one of the trees, and we literally felt like we were all like in pain as they're cutting down the tree. We're like, oh my God, they're cutting down the tree. Like I'm not always that way, but there's certain times, right, where
Yeah.
it comes to you. And so when you say no, okay, you don't see the correlation with being highly sensitive burnout. I understand what you're talking about. It's like what I got, like what I had to work through. Is like, and I continue to work through it certain moments. It's like sometimes there's something that wants to drive and push us. Maybe you call it left brain or masculine or whatever, and like, come on, you can do more, go, or else, or someone's threatening you, like you better do this, So yeah, that will definitely burn you out. And we do experience overwhelm. We talked about this. We do experience, I think that's the number one thing that like highly sensitive sorts of people might say is like that they feel overwhelmed,
Yeah.
with some sort of consistency
Yeah.
by energies, whether it's emotional, environmental, et cetera, all the different ways we could be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about that. I mean, how can we handle that? Because I did definitely get overwhelmed. I can get overwhelmed with my emotions or energies at times. And then it's like I have to just get settled in again. And then I can be very present and like I could get to where nothing could shake me, relatively
Yeah.
speaking, and
Well,
I'm absolutely fine. So yeah.
there's two things that happen if you're in overwhelm. Okay. Two things have happened that are a really easy fix. When literally I can show somebody how to get out of overwhelm in literally like seconds, just in seconds. It's what happens, as particularly for somebody that's highly sensitive, is they have and everybody's barometer. It's completely intuitive, and you know who you are, right? Like your barometer, Daniel, might be different than my barometer. Okay, is that you hit this like trigger point where you've taken in too much stimuli, whether it's data, whether it's working on a project, whether it's talking to too many people, whether it was being out in a large crowd, whatever it is. It's like all kind of jumbled together. There hits a point where your brain says, I'm done. And then it shuts down and it
Yeah.
shuts down. So that is overwhelm. But fear, if you start to have a conversation about fear is a very tricky thing, and it can do a lot of things, whether you're highly sensitive or not. But highly sensitive have a lower threshold of bringing in data unless they know how to do two things. And these two things will change your life. And the first one is to be more grounded, particularly if you are listening to this or watching this and you're more right-brained. So right-brained people do like to be out there, sort of always creating, always sort of visualizing, always sort of dreaming. Highly sensitive people sort of hang out in their dream world as it is. And you're out there, but then you start to get a lot of left brain like data, or there's a lot of people around you, a lot of stimulation, and you shut down. Well, fear will shut you down. And sometimes that will shut you down and put you into overwhelm because your fear is there's a part of you that doesn't want to move forward. Like you're afraid to move forward. You're afraid to take a risk. You're afraid to be more visible. You're afraid. So in any case, the more grounded you are, the higher your threshold goes for taking in stimuli. Like everybody has a threshold, no matter who you are. Everybody has a threshold, but your threshold will be a lot bigger. But the real game changer, that for everybody that goes through my classes or my courses or I work with, the big game changer is that very, very, very few people have a relationship with their own energy field. And if you knew how to manage your energy field, your chance of getting triggered or taking yourself out of it is so much easier. Like the chance of getting triggered into overwhelm is reduced almost to nothing. So what do I mean by energy field? Whenever somebody is feeling impatient, have you ever felt impatient, Daniel?
Oh,
you know what that
sure.
feels like, right? Like you're impatient that something's not happening fast enough, or like, right? Okay, whenever you're impatient, whenever you're stressed, whenever you're upset, whenever you're in overwhelm, whenever you are anxious, whenever you're in fear, like especially lack, it means your energy field is pretty close to your body. Like you can't see it, but you certainly can feel it. And the closer the energy field is to your body, the more impatient you get and the more you feel your emotions. So the reason why highly sensitive people can get triggered and be emotional, their emotional body, and be moved to tears a lot easier, is because their energy field is pulled in and they don't even realize it. And that happens, I believe, because as a child, if anybody felt unsafe, and there are so few highly sensitive people that felt safe as a child or didn't feel different or didn't feel picked on or didn't feel the other or something, that instinctively they pulled in their energy field without even knowing it. It was almost like instinctively thinking, well, if I pull in my energy field, it's like having a blanket around me and I'll be protected.
Right.
And, I'm protected if I'm like, so consider it like that. Well, if you have this energy field around you and you imagine that there's this, this solid energy field around you and it's only a foot from your body, there's only so much space you can put in that energy field before it starts to blow over, right? So let me give you a really big example. Whenever you feel somebody coming towards you, especially if you're highly sensitive, you're going to be very sensitive to somebody who has their energy field pulled in, and they manipulate and they on purpose push their energy field out at you. And now you're talking about a bully. That's what bullies do. They come at you and it feels like somebody's poking you in the chest and they're, you're like, so you to back up. That's somebody who's got their energy pulled in and they've got this force of their energy pushing out at you, even though their energy field's pulled in. So you're going to feel it and it's going to feel seriously dangerous. Now, if your energy field is expanded, I want you to tell me, Daniel, if you were just to think, just in this very moment, of a place that brings you so much peace, a place in nature that you've been, on a beach in Hawaii, or maybe sitting out in your back patio looking at fields, wherever it is. Can you think of a place that when you sit there, you just feel completely at peace?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Where would that be?
Could be me meditating in the house. I mean, right here at home. I mean, honestly, that might be even deeper than some of the places in nature. But yeah.
Okay. But so when you do that, when you're like meditating and at home and you feel yourself, like do you feel that your body comes into peace and into harmony? And do you feel more connected to everything around you in a good way? Like you feel connected to all there is, right? People usually experience that in nature. That's an example.
Yeah, as far as being connected to everything, definitely nature,
Right. So that's an example of your energy field pushed out, and it's not pushed out; it's expanded out naturally. So if more, and so I always tell my students all the time, the first thing you do is take a deep breath and then let your breath out, expand your energy field. And first of all, your emotions will stop. Like I'm one of those people that the Hallmark commercial comes on and, you know, it's like the best friends who haven't talked to each other in 40 years. And then they reconnect and I'm sobbing, like I'm sobbing, or somebody wins a car on TV. I'm sobbing. I'm feeling their emotion of the contestant who just won the car. And I'm feeling their emotion. And it's like instantaneous burst into tears. And I thought, you know what? Let's just expand my energy field. And I mean, like instantaneously, I went from like just, you know, gut-wrenching sobs to nothing, to complete peace.
Yeah.
So that's how you get rid of overwhelm. Overwhelm is caused from having your energy field pulled in and too much stimuli in too small of a space. All you have to do is expand your energy field. And as a highly sensitive person, when you have understand how to manage your own energy field, it literally gives you the keys to the kingdom. It makes you more powerful than most people on this planet.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah, that's a great point. I love the way you describe that. The energy field, you know, some people call it your aura or whatever, like, but like it's pulled in. And then if you're rubbing up against somebody else, and especially if they're coming at you with that energy, like what that does, it gave me flashbacks to the time in my life when that actually happened. A bully, like, you better do this or else. And I'm like, you know, like kind of like, oh, you know. So yeah, that imprints, and then it's like, well, I'm not safe. Better go in invisibility mode. In high school, they called me Mr. Invisible because I was, I mean, you just blend right into the walls. I wonder why, you know, you guys are crazy. I'm hiding out. I don't mess with all this energy around.
That's right. That's a very self-protective thing to do. And that is why a lot of entrepreneurs that are highly sensitive, they really have a tough time growing their business because they had experiences like the same like yours growing up. And so they have a really deep fear of being visible, and yet they feel their soul calling them to help more people and to be more visible. And it's the very thing that terrifies them. And so it's a very common thing.
Yeah. So I guess the question becomes is what to do about. Now you did talk about like, okay, then just kind of drop in or whatever. For me, like if I just get into my body, into my presence, then I expand again, right? So they're like, oh, okay, okay, just let go. It's like a surrendering in for me, and then the energy just expands, and then, oh yeah, okay, what was I worried about? You know,
that's
right. I always think about like, you know, like we all say like kids, like a lot of kids are like that at first, right? Like and then they're laughing 2 seconds later, right? So it's like, it's just natural for them to be able to go from contracted to expanded right away. Not always, but you know, you see instances where it's so fast, right? So, but yeah, how do we handle that? Like, I got this big calling. Oh my God, I feel like I'm supposed to reach at least millions and whatever it might be. And but something inside me is like for me, sometimes like I feel like there's more I want to share in a stronger way on a bigger stage. But I think I could say it's, oh, I don't know how to get on the stage. I could go to my analytics and be like, well, it's just that I don't know how to get there, or all this, and I know that's not true. So it's like, well, what is it that we can do to feel like to get in a place where we can just be in an expanded place where we're just letting it happen? I mean, do you help people with that?
Yeah. Well, I help people with that all the time. Well, so let me just give you an understanding about, you know, I believe, and again, this is my belief system, especially with all the people that I've worked with, is that every part of your fear is learned inside of you. Okay. Every fear that you have from the moment you were born, or even if you came into the world and as an empath, as an empathic child, you might have picked up the fears of your parents before you even came out of the womb, right? But that was learned. That was not your authentic being, right? So you have two things inside of you. You have what you were born with, that is your authentic nature, that was just yours. It's just your DNA. It has nothing to do with your experiences growing up as a child or experiences as an adult. And then you have another whole side of you that's deeply ingrained in your psyche and your subconscious of all the experiences you had and what they did and what belief systems you created because of those experiences. The belief systems that are constrictive, that hold you back, are the ones that got when something traumatic happened to you or something that was highly emotional that threatened your physical safety, your emotional safety, or your well-being. At any point in your life, especially up until the age of 7, when most of your belief systems are formed. But those are learned. Those are learned, which means that you can change any belief system you want. But I don't do work to try and figure out what's the core belief system and how do I change that, because I find there's a much more powerful and effective way to change that belief system without actually working on the belief system itself. And that is to be able to activate the actual power you were born with. And I mean this in real terms. I'm not talking airy fairy. Well, you can talk about power all day long, but where is it? Where do I find it? How do I access it? How do I activate it? And that's what I show people how to do. Because for every fear-based part inside of you, there is another aspect that is connected to that fear. There's 2 parts to it. It's like 50-50. 50% is the fear-based part and 50% is the authentic power part. And the fact of the matter is, if you're operating out of fear, all you've ever done is keep activating the only 50% of that part, which is the fear-based. So if you knew how to keep activating the power part, eventually that fear-based part would start to literally, it would kind of fade in the background.
Yeah.
And it would have no impact on you. And you start activating the part that's actually authentically powerful. You then wake up and go, dang it, I'm here to be visible. And that's what happens. So instead of me telling somebody, look, I can logically tell anybody anything. So can you, Daniel, right? You can logically say, yeah, but you're clear that your calling is to be more visible in the world. And then all that does is make the person emotional. They'll break in tears and go, I know, but I'm so scared. I can't do it. It's terrifying to me. What if somebody, because they're afraid of being judged. They're afraid of being hurt. They're afraid. I mean, it has everything to do with safety. That's the number one thing people that are highly sensitive have, is a deep relationship with safety. And the more spiritual you get and the more you move into your own authentic power, safety starts to go out the window because you feel safe no matter what. The more powerful you feel internally, the more all of that is just literally noise, and it's not part of actually the formula for you being put on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a journey.
Yeah, I love like the part of it that just does just I mean, it all rings true. It's just that what really stood out to me is when you said, I don't spend so much time trying to get at those blocks and like what is let's poke at it, let's cajole it, let's work with that, clear it, all that stuff, which is fine, but it's just, I do those things, I've done those things, but it's like a lot of the work I do is again, it's different, but it's similar. And the approach, it's like, I just like, let's just presence you into what's already there, and the rest will just drop off. That's how that is my approach these days. I used to do a lot more clearings with people and stuff, and I used to be of that mind. Oh, we got to clear this stuff up all the time, and it's like, I found that, yeah, if you just keep presencing what's really true and what's really there with inside them, then it just, I always call it just turning the energy on. The energy gets turned on, and then they feel like they could do the things they couldn't do before, and they start doing those things. So, right. Yeah, so I love that. It's definitely a huge key. I mean, once you have that going, then I always say it's not that you don't know. I mean, marketing, there is a lot of nuance to marketing and details and stuff you can get into to make it more effective sometimes, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But if
you help with that, right? But
right,
number one thing is first is like, it's not usually a lot of it isn't rocket science. It's a lot of it is often is just that your energy isn't turned on to to allow the marketing to happen the way it wants to happen, right?
I
So,
100%, I 100% agree, which is why somehow I ended up, starting off as a business growth expert and marketing expert. And the next thing you know, I'm showing, talking to people about their mindset, because I'm like going, look, if you're going to walk around with the attitude like I'm a failure, why am I helping you with your marketing? Because it's never going to work. You know what I mean? But when I would to work with people and then put them in an alignment internally, they literally, sometimes they didn't do anything and just stuff started to roll in the door. Like they literally did not change their website, do any type of marketing technique. And I think that's true with anybody. I think when anybody takes a big spiritual jump or takes or owns or claims and activates another part of their internal power, opportunities, just literally money starts walking in. And I would have been, quite honestly, if you had said that if I hadn't even heard this discussion 27 years ago and it wasn't me talking at this moment, I would have thought it was a bunch of BS. I would have thought that's airy fairy, and no, you got to work harder. You got to I used to teach strategic planning, and now the universe is the keeper of my plan. I mean, I'm pretty clear on that. And it gives it to me bit by bit. It doesn't give me the big, long 5-year vision, because it would be way too small to whatever my mind could conceive. So I work a little bit differently than most people. But I used to be that normal left brain, analytical, marketing strategic. And I would have thought it was BS until it started happening. Right. Until I started to download this work, started to work with people, started to get amazing results with them, and then see the results in my own life and see money walking in with I'm like, how did that even happen? I didn't even market that. Like, how did that even,
exactly.
like how did that opportunity just fall in my lap, and manifest things really, really fast. And it really does work. It really does seem magical. And it, quite honestly, it is.
Yeah. I mean, I can remember times when I manifested new clients in certain ways that were just profound. Like, oh my God, like this was the easiest thing ever. It's happening so fast or whatever. And then whenever I run into trouble with that, it's just if my mind judged it and said, like, wait a minute, this has been a pattern in my life previous, is like it'll say, that's too easy. That's too easy. Right. And it's so funny that the things that are so natural and easy for us, when things are easy, we're actually, in my opinion, we're more in our natural state, right? Things are easy, they call it the flow and all that stuff, right? But it's like, I find when I relax and I let go, like it's like you're winning, so to speak, and it's like the easiest thing ever. It's like I can't lose. It almost feels like.
Well, that's your energy field. That's your energy field expanded, so there's space for you to receive super easy. When people get real intense and real focused, they don't have it's completely subconscious and have no idea how much their energy field gets pulled in more and more. So you actually have to work harder to produce a result. And you're working double time on your body to produce that. But, quite honestly, the minute you start school, like once you pass kindergarten, right? The minute you start learning, they teach you that and it's understandable, but they teach you this left brain analytical track of success. You have to keep working for it. You have to keep working for it. You have to keep working for it. And so, nobody's going to teach a child, well, if you just stay in flow, although maybe they will incorporate a little bit of that, more. I think there's a few things that could be useful. It certainly would be more useful, to have a highly sensitive child to show them how to do things a little differently. But as an adult, it's a complete mystification. You mean I don't have to work hard for it? It could just come to me, yes. But that doesn't mean everything just comes to you.
Exactly. That's why
it doesn't, right? Like
you
and I don't show up on this without some action.
That's why, I guess I'm plugging myself, but that's why I have what I've developed. I haven't even launched it yet, but this Awaken Sales System. It's like there's different courses. There's the flow course where it's all magic and it's so easy and like things are just falling out of the sky. And it's like, but there's a whole other aspects of your being that want nurturance, right? So there's a little bit of fire and steel course over here, and we got one of these over here, and it's all just interconnection with the all that we are. But it's like I mean, just look out in nature, right? There's volcanoes, there's smooth, quiet running streams. Every aspect of who we are is seen in nature. I mean, it's there, right? We can see it in pretty much the quantities and proportion that probably would suit us best, and we're all different, but like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it kind of gives you a clue at least. So if you're drawn more to lightning and thunder, maybe you need a little more lightning and thunder in your life. If you're more to the quiet stream, maybe that's more your gig. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, I'm just so grateful for what you have to share today. And I know that you have so much more to share with people. We could go on for hours talking about this subject, especially. Um, what are some? Do you have a gift you like to share to people today? From what I understand, you have some things you want to share beyond this, and
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
give you one or more, a couple other tips for business and prosperity for them too. But
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I like talking about the gift. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you can go to my website, wlynngrace.com, and there's a bunch of free stuff that you can download. There's a whole free audio on prosperity that you can download. But one of the things that I like to share with people, because if they really want to understand the power of, how you can shift, like go from 0 to, 1,000 miles an hour and have the most expansive experience and joyful and blissful experience. I do something called an Hour of Healing series, and it's 100% free. I do one call a month. That's 1 hour where I touch upon and do a master teaching on a particular subject, and it's different every month. One month it could be grace, one month it's prosperity, one month it's receiving, one month it's clarity, one month it's purpose, whatever it is. And it's always free. I don't sell anything in the call. It is literally my service to humanity. And the purpose of the call is a few things. One, it's so you literally can recharge your batteries and just sit back and receive. Like if you just listen in and just sit back, you will receive a very, very strong energy transmission that will literally expand you out into the galaxy, your energy field. And so that way your whole soul can be replenished, and your mind can be replenished, and your body can be replenished. Because I believe that in today's turbulent times, and it's very, very turbulent, particularly the highly sensitive people are really getting rocked around and like pulled in a million different directions, and they're feeling this pervasive fear, and their pervasive anger, and the pervasive frustration, and the pervasive stress and anxiety. They're feeling it more than anybody else on the planet. And this hour of healing is for you to literally have somebody else. You get to sit back, relax, and pretend like you're at a 5-star resort with your pina colada and just receive. And I will literally recharge every battery that you've got inside in that hour. And you'll connect to your soul, and you'll get messages, no matter who you are. And everybody's welcome, whether you're highly sensitive or not. Everybody's welcome on the call. I have close to 1,000 people from around the world that join me every month. And I just always get tons of emails about like what happened to them and how they shifted and how grateful they are. And so that's what I'd like to offer to anybody that wants to join me. It's like I said, it's just my service to humanity. And I was called to do it. I was really called to do that. Everybody needs a place where they can just go back and recharge, and they don't have to do any work to do that.
That's amazing that you doing that as an act of service to the world, each month for free. So we are going to put this into the description below, and so you can go ahead and grab the link and take advantage of that. Also, if you want to grab this link and you're not sure where to find it wherever you're listening, because this goes out all over the place, you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com/blog and just look up this episode with Debbie Lynn Grace on my blog, and you can find the link within the description there. Okay, great. So, wow, Debbie. So, do you have any I was wondering, like, if you have 1 or 2 additional tips for the highly sensitives to have. It's all about energy, is what I'm hearing from you today, basically.
Well, I
So,
mean, that is like anybody that's highly sensitive, that they have a really strong relationship with their own energy, how they're feeling internally and what they're experiencing to, external stuff. I would have to say that, keys to the kingdom is understanding about your energy field. But I would say the next thing is to have a deeper understanding that whatever you've taken on from somebody else, it's not yours, and don't keep carrying it. So make sure that you cleanse your energy on a daily basis, or maybe throughout the day. And especially like you, Daniel, like when you're working with other people, there's a lot of highly sensitive people use tools without realizing it, and they're very instinctive. But I'm just telling you that there's almost no instinctive tools, or very few, that highly sensitive people use that are actually helping them. They're hurting them.
Mhm.
And so, they just take on, well, and quite honestly, I am 1,000% more sensitive today than I was as a child, because I do energy work, and I've been doing energy work for almost 3 decades. It's made me more and more and more sensitive, and I don't take on anybody else's stuff. I feel 100% protected, and I don't worry about that. And I don't feel, and yet I can still track their pain. I can still track people, what's going on with them internally. I can still track where the opening is, and where the energy block is, and where the opening is, but I don't have to take on what their stuff is. So please walk away with understanding that you weren't designed to take somebody else's stuff on, but it doesn't mean you can't experience it, feel it, or know about it, or be sensitive to it. You do not have to take it on. And if you do, make sure that you release. And at a minimum, releasing is go outside, go hug a tree, go out in nature. Nature has a great way, and ground, just get your feet in the dirt and release it into the ground. Another thing I tell my students to do is just go lay on the ground and bend your knees so that your back is flush with the ground and you're not hurting your back, and just breathe deeply and let it all be released into the ground, because the ground is the best thing that can receive. Grounding and water. Water, go wash your hands and say, I'm releasing whatever I just took on. It's going down, it's just being washed away down the drain.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's the one I recommend. Is like the most powerful one, is laying down on the grass outside. Like, believe it or not, like the same one you just
Yeah, but you could do it at home. You don't have to go outside. You can, it really does work. The ground it's still metaphorically, laying down, and you're still connected to the ground if your home is connected to the ground in some way. So it still does work. It's nice to be outside in nature, because then you're surrounded by more other nature. So that's always good. But it's not necessary. But I just think that most people walk around, especially that, the difference between, today and like your kids, Daniel, all they know is being online and social media. And I'm old enough to remember when we weren't online.
Right.
And I wasn't raised being online. And so the chances of you taking in so much more stimuli, especially if you're building a business and you've got a website and you've got emails and you've got social media, you're taking all of that energy into your body all day long. Day long. You've got to release that out of your body.
Yeah. Great point. I think it impacts us more than we realize.
A lot more. Yeah.
Great point. Love that. Thank you. All right, awesome. All these things, guys, open you up so that you can have more extreme prosperity, outrageous success, and everything. And because again, it's more of an energy game than anything else. Is what I've been saying is, as long as I've been doing this since the 2000s myself, as far as on the online space. So Debbie, we're at a time of the show where I like to tune in to my guests' energy a little bit, use my little energy scanning abilities I've got. So if you're willing to receive for a minute or two, I'd love to share whatever comes through the ethers to share with you today. Are you ready to receive?
The universe sends a lot of different messengers. So if you want to be the messenger today, Daniel, I'm all for it.
Everything's a messenger, I know.
Everything's a messenger. So if you want to be today's messenger, that would be very cool.
All right, that's fun. Okay, so let me just take a look here. So they're showing me hey, I just see what comes through. All right. I'm not trying to see it one way or another. So they're seeing me like, because it's like kind of graphic. It's like it's showing me like ripping your clothes off, like, full breasted or whatever. You're like, I'm a woman, see me, like this next level of like taking off any of the last like layers of like that might be saying as much as people see you already, like if they're whatever the last layers are, like that's it, going all the way now, like that's the feeling, it's like all the way, like last layers. And but it feels very it feels very sacred, very empowering, very just so freeing, like okay, I don't have to dress up like this anymore, so to speak. I'm not saying you're doing it in a major way, but whatever layers are left is the feeling I've got. So let's see what else comes in that or something else. What's going on here? Yeah, they're showing me your calculating power. So they're like you're on an adding machine or something, and it's like, but it's more of an energy calculator. Like it's like energy calculating. Oh, then we need X. Okay, we can amp that up. Like not literally hitting keys, but that's how they show it to me. Oh, I can make those numbers better. And so it's like part of this energy magic that you have to be able to, like you say, track the energy, and then it's like you got it almost like a calculation, like, okay, we can raise that. And so it's fun. It just looks different. It looks really cool. And so that helps people to expand in all kinds of ways. Okay. Including financially. Okay. Yeah, there's a deepening of the yin energy. There's even more there. I see the root wanting to go really deep through your root chakra into the earth. So like you're really helping to anchor more of the yin energy, not only for yourself, but for the planet. There's a feeling I get. It's like, come on now. Come on, just let it all in. Receive it safe now. And so you bring a safety, this grounding of the yin energy is what I'm getting, and preparing, in this case, highly sensitive, but the planet to, okay, we can receive, all right, the higher bandwidth. It's all right now. So that's what's coming through. So they're kind of, some of them are kind of basic today for someone so advanced as you, but these are some of the things coming through, Debbie.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think that especially that, like the last one about, I think the number one reason people work with me is because they feel safe. I mean, I can't tell you how many people come to me and say, I say things in your group, like even in my groups, that I've never shared out loud before, and I get nothing but love back.
Right.
And I think that the number one thing that I think that's the reason why they come, but then they leave and they feel 1,000 times more powerful, and they have tools for every situation. So they're never worried again, like don't worry about it. So that's what they leave with. But I think that for anybody who is highly sensitive, and I think most people in general, it's just that I tend to work more with highly sensitive people, is that they grow up feeling very unsafe, like just very unsafe, unsafe emotionally, worried about people attacking them or criticizing them or judging them or whatever. They feel unsafe physically a lot of times, but really more emotionally than anything else. And so I think that is true. That is true. It's always my highest intention when somebody comes into my space, that the first thing they feel is really, really safe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they feel that from my presence, I'm guessing, but it's also like it's what most people say over and over and over and over and over again, so. Right. And as far as the calculated thing, I don't really know, but that's how you saw it. So that's cool. But I don't know, like my brain does, it takes in a huge amount of data, it sorts it out and spits something out. Right. And it happens pretty quickly, like literally pretty quickly. And I don't know how that works, but I'm grateful for it.
Right. This is a natural gift, right? It's just doing things. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
And then just want to share with everybody, if you want to check me out, you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com. There's a opportunity for an energy scan consultation with me if you want me to tune into your energy, see what I see for you to help you to awaken and increase your sales. I'm grateful to be of service to you if you're drawn to get some support from me. So you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com. There's also a free meditate and make money meditation there. Take advantage of, open you up, get you in that connected energy where everything's pinging. And yeah, I love hearing from people and telling me they're growing their business. Just, hey, I just listened to your meditation. I haven't changed anything else. It's working for me. So, so go check it out at yoursacredpurpose.com. Get your free meditate, make money meditation. Okay, great. So, yeah, and then Debbie, to wrap up, do you have any last words of wisdom, any last things to share with the audience today?
I think that if I could leave any last words of wisdom is to always remember that, and whether you're highly sensitive or not highly sensitive, every gift has a challenge and every challenge has a gift. And if you were to walk through life understanding the gifts, particularly of any challenges you're experiencing, and lived through the gift of it, like the amount of how powerfully your journey and how exciting and how prosperous and how like expansive your journey will be exponential than if you walk through life just looking at the challenges. Just pay attention to the gifts.
Exactly. I realize like the littlest things, like I have some routines that I do, and like many people, like I have a practice of gratitude. I'm like, I didn't do that the last night or two. Like somehow I bypassed it, it's like, oh my God, I gotta get right back on that, because I understand like the massive power of just giving thanks for all the things in your life, including your challenges, especially, is in itself can be entirely transformational. So I love that. I love that one. That's so important, so important. So Debbie, thank you so much for.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for being here today and sharing. I'm so grateful for everything you had to share. It's so resonant to me, and I'm sure it is for the people listening. And so thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. So keep on tuning in. We'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time, everyone. Bye for now. For listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.